please.
Hello everyone, welcome to Mugello and welcome to the rainfall that has been a consistent part of our round 8 here in Mugello thus far. I regret to say, I do not regret to say, this is Finali Mondiali weekend. What a phenomenal weekend, where the weather conditions have certainly not played into our hands at the moment, but as you can see, the calendar that has unfolded before us during the course of 2025 has been fantastic, and we reached the final races, if you will, here. And this is our formal welcome to Mugello. And there you can see the backdrop of the rain coming down. And as I say, that's been fairly consistent during the course of qualifying yesterday, the free practice sessions yesterday as well, and we get to the real deal racing today. Welcome. And there you can see lining up on the grid the cars that will be contesting this Coppa Shell race. It is our Shell drivers that take to the track first of all, and wet weather tyres are mandatory because the circuit is absolutely wet, and we are being told that the start is going to be behind the safety car, which is a very sensible decision that's been made by race control in these conditions. Now, it's not only grip that's affected, but also visibility as well. Alongside me is Nico, and as we look at the Fabrizio Fontana car, champion, of course, from last year, but in different guise, that's for sure. Visibility is like driving into fog.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning here from Mugello. You should have seen this coming when Spa was pretty much dry throughout, and that's kind of the revenge of the weather gods to give us this weather here in Italy for the World Finals. It was pretty much the same in Imola last year, and it brought out some very interesting results across the entire weekend, including the World Final races on Sunday. So certainly unpredictable. Very predictable to be on the grid in the Ferrari Challenge in Coppa Shell is this man, Von Skeltemer. Good quality from him, P3. Has shown and has moved forward, has had his podium positions this season. He will look for more this weekend, or this week actually.
Yeah, certainly proving how the conditions played into his hands yesterday. He was certainly able to make the most of them. Ernst Kirchmeier going from P1, John Dillon, there we can see he's going from P2. Now, JD mathematically is still in the championship chase. It would take a Herculean effort, frankly, for him to be able to seal the championship, but nonetheless, it's been another stellar season from the Formula Racing driver, John Dillon, and he looked very, very good in qualifying, and as you can see, that resulted in him starting from P2 on the grid. Now, here is our championship leader, Manuela Gostner, and Manuela Gostner really has got to fall over pretty significantly for her not to be able to seal the championship across the course of this weekend. Nice wave from Manu, the Inigo Roberto Corsa Ram driver, and yeah, she is going not from where she would have liked to have gone, and she had a torrid time of it in qualifying, trying to keep the car on the track, to be honest with you. It's a fourth row start, but it's a front row start for Ernst Kirchmeier for Kessel Racing, who goes from P1 on the grid. So there you can see Ernst Kirchmeier receiving final instructions from his driver coach, Giacomo Altoe. And if anyone can say anything about racing to success in the Ferrari Challenge, it's these two. Both drivers, different ends of the age spectrum, but both very successful. Last time out, we were in Spa-Francorchamps, and as you can see, our Coppa Shell drivers were champing at the bit to get going, and through turn number 1 they went. And of course now the run down towards Eau Rouge, but as you can see, a number of drivers were making hay while the sun was shining. Christian Kinch trying very hard to get the better of Cristiano Marchel here. some drivers, and well, you had to feel there for Michael Martin in avoidance, finding his car in the barriers. Now, Oscar Rinčević and Ernst Kirchmeier, they were having a battle royale, which was superb for us to watch. And then it was straight to race number 2. As you can see, the weather conditions in Spa-Francorchamps were very un-Spa-Francorchamps-like, truthfully, as Oscar Rinčević and Manuel Agostina fought and argued over that P1 position, and Christian Kinch unfortunately getting caught up in a skirmish, and he would end up across the wall, sadly. Every driver, including Tibor Valent, trying to do their best. And what about this from Oscar Rinčević? It was a bold, brave move going into the bus stop, but it was one that worked for the driver of the all-black car. Eric Marston was a visitor from North America, as was James Wyland. It was a great victory for Oscar Rinčević. And that's the way it looked in Spa-Francorchamps then. And here in Mugello, as you can see, confirmation there on the screen that the start is going to be behind the safety car. And there indeed is the Richard Mille safety car that will be leading these cars away. The start behind the safety car brought about really because of, obviously, the track conditions. Very, very wet indeed. It's not necessarily the grip, it is more the visibility. So it enables the drivers, after a couple of laps behind the safety car, to really get a feel for what they're going to be able to see and what they're not going to be able to see. And my guess is that unless you're the leading car, which certainly from the start point of view is going to be Ernst Kirchmeier, everybody else is going to be in a sea of fog, frankly, and trying to gain the visibility is going to be very, very difficult indeed. Quite some arguments going down there on the grid, going on down there on the grid for some curious reason, but one or two engineers still out there, and we're not far away from the start getting underway.
No, one thing that the argument will not be about is tire choice, there is no question, and even though we don't expect massive rainfall during this course of this race, we do expect more rain to come over the course of the day, but not for this race. There is no question, it's not going to dry up, it's going to stay wet, and it's going to stay wet with a vengeance, so the wet weather Pirelli P0 tires will be in their prime area of operation.
It was really nice to welcome back to the grid Motohiko Sasaki, who has been racing in Japan, but Motohiko Sasaki has certainly been a part of the Ferrari Challenge in Europe as well, and there is his car, the 105 car, possibly one of the most enthusiastic Ferrari Challenge drivers you are ever likely to meet, Motohiko Sasaki. Awesome driver. So there is the Oscar Rinčević car. And of course, Finali Mondiali is about so much more than just the Ferrari Challenge racing. There is lots and lots of other activity, including the XX programs.
On the occasion of Finali Mondiali 2025, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the X6 program, a very important part of creativity and excellence of the prancing horse. You already saw the protagonist of this program behind me, but now it's time to dive and discover more about the history of X6 program. When we talk about the X6 program, we are talking about the program launched in 2005, which brings extreme and special cars, the result of the most advanced technological research, to the track during private events. These cars are followed and managed by Ferrari engineers who, through continuous data collection, lay the groundwork for developing solutions that will later be implemented in the prancing horses road cars. It's an exclusive program that over the years has inspired numerous attempts at imitation, yet the success and popularity of Ferrari's activities remain unmatched, thanks also to unique events that engage clients in extraordinary locations and special moments.
The XX programs. Here we go then to Mugello. Depending on how you count the turns, either 14 or 15, you'll see our graphics here indicates there are 15 turns. What's no argument is with regards to the length of the track, which is 5.245 kilometers. And it's really a test for our drivers as it makes its way and winds its way through the Tuscan countryside here. We're just under an hour from Florence, maybe an hour and 10 from Bologna. Okay, as the graphics indicate, we're about ready to get the race underway then. And the green lights are on now. Effectively, the race will start behind the safety car. And indeed has started. So, safety car from Richard Mill leads the cars away. We are underway and we are racing. So I suspect that the safety car will stay out maybe for a couple of laps. Just let the drivers get used to not only the grip conditions but also the visibility conditions as well, so that they know what they can expect over the next few laps. Now the rain is not coming down intensively, which means that the spray is going to reduce, providing there is no more rain. But that's not a gift or a given as we bring you the grid in full from back to front. James Wyland, P14, Corinna Gostner, P13. Motohiko Sasaki, welcome back Motohiko. Thomas Gostner alongside, they are on row 6. It's Willem van der Vorm and Michael Martin then going from P10 and P9. Then it's Manuela Gostner and Ray Acosta. Bear in mind, Manuela Gostner, championship leader. Tibor Valent, always a danger man, as too is Oscar Rinčević. They're on the 3rd row of the grid. On the 2nd row, it's Fabrizio Fontana and Fons Skeltermar with a good qualifying. And on the front row, P2 for John Dillon, P2 in the Drivers' Championship as well. And Ernst Kirchmeier going from pole position. Nico, I know you've been looking very much at the weather conditions, and we'll hear what you've found in just a moment, because we're going to hear from our pole sitter, and that is the Kessel Racing driver, Ernst Kirchmeier.
What the qualifying, I really didn't expect the pole position, because the first part of the qualifying before the red flag I was on P5 because a lot of traffic, and after the red flag the rain starts very heavy, and for me it was clear I stay on P5, that I could make a lap with this time under this condition. I really didn't expect it. To be honest, I'm very happy and proud about this lap. And of course it's Mugello, and Mugello is a difficult racetrack, and in the rain it's an outstanding difficult racetrack, and I stay on ball, so for me this is really for the history.
Thank you, Ernst. Frankly, you can't help but be compelled by everything he says. He's such an awesome driver and a wonderful character, as is typical of many of them in the Ferrari Challenge. So Nico, then give us the update on the weather. You've got the radar there.
Well, looking at the radar, it's supposed to be dryish during the course of the race. There may be some raindrops, but it's not heavy rain that we expect to dramatically alter the track conditions. It's going to be wet. It's probably going to be a little bit quicker towards the end of the race, but certainly wet weather tie is the way to go. As you said, safety car probably going to stay out there for a number of laps, just get some standing water out of the way, get some feedback to race control from the safety car on the conditions out there, the drivers familiarizing themselves. And yeah, I mean, the championship situation, Manu Gostner, as you said, very much in control. P8 gives you 1 point, P1 gives you 15 points. She's close to the threshold, just needs to collect a few more points, and really, if neither JD or Oscar Rinčević take the win in this race, it's going to be very, very difficult to get on terms with her.
You're absolutely right. You've explained that very, very well. And here you can just see what the visibility is like for any driver that is not the pole position driver, which is Ernst Kirchmeier. I think the safety car is being driven by Antonio Tamburini. What a great driver he is, and he will be feeding back to race control exactly how the track is performing. You're right. I suspect this will be the last lap behind the safety car before the drivers will be released, but it is race control that will make that decision. Claudio Garavini leading the team in race control during the course of the weekend here at Finali Mondiali, the final event of our 2025 season, and what an epic season it has been with this wonderful one-make series that is the Ferrari Challenge. So it's Ernst Kirchmeier leading the race from John Dillon and Fons Skeltermar. They are the top 3. They're ahead of Fabrizio Fontana, Oscar Rinčević, Tibor Valent, Ray Acosta, Manu Gostner is P8, Michael Martin P9, then it's Willem van der Vorm, Thomas Gostner, Motohiko Sasaki and Corinna Gostner, ahead of James Wyland, who you can see is at the bottom of the pile. My timing screen indicates that James Wyland actually is in the pit lane. So we'll just see if the car goes past here on that shot. Sadly, we dropped out of that before I could actually see. But the geometry from the GPS, which tracks the car, would suggest that James Wyland is in the pit lane.
Yeah, second that from this vantage point as well. That's the latest information. He might still take part in the race, but obviously having started, he would be a number of laps down.
Safety car is, as predicted, coming in at the conclusion of this lap, and we'll get to racing proper. Now the race has started. You can see the clock on the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen at the very top. The race duration has commenced, and the clock has been ticking down. The safety car going to come in, and therefore it's going to be down to Ernst Kirchmayr, John Dillon, von Skeltermeyer and Fabrizio Fontana. But it will be down to Ernst Kirchmayr to control the pace of the effective start, really, as they head towards the start-finish line. No drivers are allowed to overtake until they're past the safety car line on the track. And yes, the race will be on. We're going to get about 23 minutes, 22 maybe, of real race action. And we have some 13 cars out there on track around this 5.245 kilometer circuit of Mugello, home to this year's Finali Mondiali event, rounding out the 2025 season. Lots of low cloud around, as you can see, and as the cars head towards this chicane and then the final turn, you can use, in race trim, you can use the final turn as something of a slingshot up the start-finish straight, which has got 2 elevation changes. And there you can see Ernst Kirchmayr is stacking them up. It's his right to do that. He can control the pace. But when he accelerates, he has to stay accelerated. He can't increase and decrease his speed. So my guess is going to go probably middle of the final turn. And let's see if my, I tell you what, I got that nailed about perfectly. And John Dillon has lost the back end of the car. So in P2, John Dillon, unfortunately, as he accelerated, he lost the back end of the car. A number of drivers, including Fabrizio Fontana, having to take evasive action. So even though the cars had been running for 2 laps, the tyres not up to optimum temperature, and yeah, John Dillon just losing the back end of the car, which means that Ernst Kirchmayr is on his own. Von Skeltermeyer is up to P2, but he runs really, really wide now. And Oskar Rinčević was a big beneficiary of what happened with John Dillon, and a number of drivers having to take avoiding action because he's up to P3 right now. Oh, and now it looks like that's Fabrizio Fontana, I think, that has gone around, has just kept it out of the barriers, proving just how difficult the conditions are here. The conditions are still really, really very difficult indeed. He manages to get the car going again, which is good news. Von Skeltermeyer under pressure from Oskar Rinčević, who in turn is under pressure from Tibor Valent and also Ray Acosta. Whilst it's all going on, Ernst Kirchmayr has built a margin of nearly 5 seconds up the road, Nico.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, John Dillon running in P2 and everybody behind him after that spin had to slow down, helped Ernst Kirchmayr build that gap. It's a long race, however, and there you can see Von Skeltermeyer is running really, really wide through those turns. Tibor Valent a little bit sideways. Was there an assist? I don't know.
No, there wasn't.
Runs off the track, again keeps it out of the barriers, but it is extremely slippery out there. And race control did a good job in keeping them behind the safety car, but even after that, it's still so very difficult.
Really, really slippery out there as Ray Acosta is being really hounded now by our points leader, Manuel Agostner, who, with John Dillon out of the race, you can see as we split the screen there, John Dillon very, very disappointed, and that's a great shame. Great shame.
Yeah, and that means John Dillon's championship hopes have gone away. He's not going to catch Manu Goslar. That leaves only Oskar Rinčević currently in P2 in contention with Manu Goslar, who obviously benefited from that misfortune of JD running now in P5 or 4 on our timing screen. So she's in a very strong position right now. Ernst Kirchmayr still building that lead, 6.4 seconds, and Von Skeltermeyer, he looks slow.
He looks slow, and he's having to drive sideways something, whether he's got a slowly deflating tyre or something, but he is not at race pace, that's for sure. It is Ernst Kirchmayr then that is leading the race from Oskar Rinčević, and Ray Acosta is up to P3. Manu goes to P4, then it's Michael Martin, Willem van der Voort. Ray Acosta then, as he brakes, and you can see, very, very disappointing walking down the pit lane. It's a great, great shame when that happens, but, you know, it is difficult for all the drivers, and I have to say, I commend them all for racing in these really rather challenging conditions, but it is part of a racing driver's psyche, of course. And and that is John, and that was on the conclusion of effectively the race start, wasn't he? Just collected Fabrizio Fontana, and it was just one of those things. And this was Fabrizio going around as well, and that was later on in the lap, just proving that for all the drivers, you're going to have to tiptoe around here. This was Tibor Valint, and Tibor Valint managing to get the car slowed and avoided the barriers, which was great effort there by Tibor Valint. So Ray Acosta now is P3, and Manuela Gostner not in a podium position at the moment. She's doing her points haul a world of good, as regrettably a retirement for Fons Skeltermar. That's sad to see. He'd looked so lively at the beginning of the race, and they'd done such a good job in qualifying in torrid conditions yesterday, where fastest lap, of course, set the grid for this race. Second fastest lap set the grid for the second race. So Manu Gostner being chased by Michael Martin, nonetheless, who is running P5, and then Willem van der Vorm running in P6. We've got just on 19 minutes of the race, and live championship prediction. As you can see, if everything stays this way, it's 134 to 109 points. It's as near as darn it in the bag, is it not, for Manuela?
Yeah, if it stays like that, it's a clear gap. Certainly Oscar Rinčević would have to take the P1. He's clawed back quite a little bit on the last lap to Ernst Kirchmeier, but even then, with Manu Gostner in P4, it wouldn't be enough to take the championship all the way to tomorrow. But you can control what you can control and have to rely on everybody else to play a part. So Oscar Rinčević will certainly still be pushing.
And I think it's, for Oscar Rinčević to be in the position that he's in, given that he missed the entire Brno round, for very good reasons, to be fair, yeah, I think his points haul has been remarkable, truthfully, and he's running P2 at the moment, albeit some 5.3 seconds behind our race leader that we pick up on now, and that is the Kessel driver, Ernst Kirchmeier driver, the 106 car. Oscar Rinčević P2, Ray Acosta, who's racing not only in the European Series this weekend, but also in the North American Series as well. He's doing a lot of racing, is Ray Acosta. He's third. So those are our provisional podium places at the moment. And there is Ray Acosta, who's the last one of those. So from my point of view, what I would, if I was Manu Gostner, and in many regards I absolutely am not, she has talent, I don't. I'd be thinking, I'm not going to do anything daredevil here. What's the point? Just keep everything calm, cool, collected. Keep it on the tarmac, Nico. As Fabrizio Fontana's trying to fight back here with Corinna Gostner. This is the argument going over the P10 place at the moment, which Manuela's sister, Corinna, is showing a clean pair of heels to Fabrizio Fontana at the moment. He, of course, found the barriers just a little while ago, but he has gone through now on Corinna Gostner. So, yeah, to reinforce what I was saying, if I was Manu, I think I would just think, I'm not going to do anything terribly heroic here. Think of the long game.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And she is such an experienced race driver. She has been in the running for the championship so many years, and this is the year where she is on pace to take it. Just say that, fastest second overall in the race from Manu Gostner. So she's not taking it very easy. But yeah, I'm very sure that she will be in control of the races and not do anything that would jeopardize her points. So there we follow her around, especially in these conditions with the visibility as it is. Better to keep a gap both ways, to the front and to the back.
Yes, you're right. From a visibility point of view, it is really beneficial. So Manu Gostner, then you can see Michael Martin there taking a different line to Manu Gostner, and the reason for that partly is A, to get better traction, and B, to get better visibility. We go through on the FIA speed camera, which regrettably, through no fault of our speed camera, doesn't give you an indication of what these 296 Challenge cars really are doing in race trim when it is dry, as they absolutely fly. And of course, speed is somewhat reduced by dint of the weather conditions that we're experiencing here in Mugello for Finali Mondiali. So it's Kirchmeier from Rinčević, from Ray Acosta. So Ray Acosta then with the multi shade of red colours that we can see there. You also just saw the Giorgio Sanaggiotto in the split camera there, who is team boss of Manuela Gosner's team, Nico Reparto, Corsa Ram. So Thomas Gosner now, and Tibor Valent arguing over this P7 and P8 position. So you've got three members of the Gosner family all in the race, Manuela Gosner, Corinna Gosner, and also father Thomas Gosner. And I don't mean father that he has some religious connections. He is father of Corinna and Manuela, forgive me. And there's Tibor Valent. And talking of fathers, father of Bence Valent, a talented young driver who raced in the Ferrari Challenge, is now having a fantastic career by dint of what he achieved through Ferrari Challenge. So proving that the Ferrari Challenge is something of a springboard for young drivers' success nowadays. You know, sound like I'm an old age pensioner, but thankfully, having been involved with the Ferrari Challenge, I've seen some wonderful drivers come through the ranks, and it's been a privilege to talk about them. Ernst Kirchmeier continuing to lead from Oscar Rinčević and Ray Acosta. They are the top three. Fabrizio Fontana now trying to join this three-way battle that is going on for P7. So this little party, which Tibor Valent now has an invitation to, and therefore double the pressure, if you like, that's being put on Thomas Gosner right now. Fabrizio Fontana taking a different line there. Will he try and undercut Tibor Valent now, as Tibor Valent has got to the inside of Thomas Gosner, and that almost looked like Thomas allowed him to go through, and Tibor is definitely quicker, and here comes Fabrizio Fontana going through on Thomas Gosner as well. So discretion, the better part of valor there, thinking I'm just not going to fight too hard here because the conditions are such as, whoa, Tibor Valent is on the painted lines. That will afford much less grip than the tarmac, and Fabrizio Fontana is able to take advantage of that, and in the space of but a few hundred meters, Fabrizio Fontana has taken two overtakes and executed two overtakes really rather well.
Absolutely, moving back up the order after having dropped down at the start in avoidance of JD. And I mean, for the likes of Thomas Gosner, who are no longer in the championship chase, there is also still a Sunday race to reckon with, so rather be safe and bank a good result here, keep the car in one piece, and then be ready to take the battle for the world final title on Sunday. So that may also play a little bit of a role in terms of risk-reward management here in this race already.
We've got a yellow flag at turn 2, which is indicative that somebody has perhaps dipped a wheel into the gravel. We'll see how long the yellow flag is there for. You can see the map graphics on the right-hand side of your screen here as Tibor Valent is every which way but loose all the way across the back of Fabrizio Fontana. Now, this was the sequence where Thomas Gosner was wrong-footed by both Tibor Valent and by Fabrizio Fontana, and there Thomas Gosner losing out on two positions very, very quickly. So the yellow flag remains at turn 2, and I rather think that might be the car of Michael Martin. There is Michael Martin in replay, and this is the reason for the yellow flag. Finding himself into the gravel. If he's been able to dive out of the gravel or put the car into a position of safety, that means hopefully we can continue with a localized yellow rather than going to full safety car conditions, as Ernst Kirchmeier, while everything is going on, continues his quest. However, last time around, Oscar Rinčević was marginally quicker than Ernst Kirchmeier. Now, Ernst has got such a margin of some 4.3 seconds, but Oscar Rinčević has been clawing that gap down a bit. Yeah. Now, he's got a lot of work to do in just 11.5 minutes to get on terms with Ernst Kirchmeier, and I just wonder whether Ernst is not playing. He's just driving and managing it perfectly, and when he needs to increase that margin, he probably has got the ability to do so.
You would think that, and we can tell from the times we get that the track is evolving. It's getting quicker, fastest lap times, one after the other. Oscar Rinčević did the fastest, then Ray Acosta immediately usurped him with a 2:15.306. So every lap we can see that it's getting a little bit drier-ish, nothing more than that. As Corinna Gosner and Motohiko Isozaki neck and neck, and actually Corinna Gosner way ahead of Motohiko come the break point for turn 1, now running right behind her father Thomas in P8 and P9.
So the localized yellow remains, and that is for the stricken Michael Martin car, as Thomas Gosner, Corinna Gosner, Motohiko Isozaki. It's P8, P9 and P10. So the 296 Challenge cars then on this first race effective of the weekend, the Coppa Shell race, where Ernst Kirchmeier is leading from Oscar Rinchevich and Ray Acosta, with our points leader Manuela Gosner in a very strong point scoring P4 position. We're watching her sister Corinna now defending from Motohiko Isasaki, who's running in P10. This though is Thomas Gosner, father of Corinna. Ernst Kirchmeier now 4.6 seconds to the good. This is our points leader then, Manuela Gosner, and Willem van der Vorm, who's been more of a less, I should say, of a regular competitor during the course of this season, sadly, but due to other commitments, Willem van der Vorm has not been able to do the full season complement. You're always welcome when he is here, and a very striking livery choice that he applies to his 296 Challenge car. The blue and day glow yellow means that even from a distance you cannot miss his car. We run the telemetry there, you can see as to what gear they're in through that turn, and then accelerating away, trying to get a bit of a slingshot here as Manuela Gosner up to 180, 190, 200 kilometers per hour, climbing uphill across the first crest, and then as they cross the start-finish line, go for the second crest as well, and past our speed camera up to very nearly 280 kilometers per hour before they have to start braking again. And Giorgio Sonagiotto, as we split the shot, driver coach to Manu Gosner, as Willem van der Vorm carries just a bit more speed into the turn, and that means that's compromised his trajectory through the turn.
Absolutely, but it's great to see him, and you can see Manu Gosner, he's just cool, calm and controlled. P4 would be enough to take the championship, and actually so would be P5 if everything stays the same out front, and actually Ernst Kirchmeier is not letting up. He's keeping that gap roughly around 4.5, 5.5 seconds, somewhere in between. So no indication that Oscar Rinchevich is really making inroads into that lead, to the point where P1 would be in the cards. Lots can happen in the remaining 8 minutes plus a lap, but for now, Manu Gosner certainly wise to just be consistent, be safe, and drive her race. As the other two Gosners in the race, there is Thomas, there is Corinna, Motohiko Isasaki right behind them. On screen for you who has done what and who has moved up the order. Quite a few drivers, Oscar Rinchevich, Ray Acosta, Manu Gosner and Willem van der Vorm have moved quite a few places to the good. Von Skeltemer, John Dillon, obviously part of that, having dropped out of the race.
Yes, a very good point that you make there. 7.5 minutes remaining. It's the first race of our Finali Mondiali weekend here in Mugello. This is the Ferrari Challenge, conclusion of our 2025 season, being held here at the Mugello Circuit. Just a moment there for Corinna Gosner and Thomas Gosner as well. You can see the back end of the cars just stepping out there. Now, of course, the Pirelli wet weather tyres are very, very durable indeed. However, wet weather tyres, ask any racing driver, for a wet weather tyre to perform really, really well, it needs to be kept damp. So you'll see drivers use different and unorthodox lines to those that they would use ordinarily, and that's because they're always searching out the dampest parts of the circuit to keep the tyres within the operating window.
Absolutely. The racing line here on this circuit right now is entirely different to that they would use in the dry conditions, both in terms of seeking out wet spots, but also where you have standing water. Sometimes the drivers go a wider line around the turn simply because they can avoid the treacherous parts where grip is more unpredictable when there is standing water. So, you know, it's a very, very different line. That's part of racecraft. It's not just one condition that you have to master. You have to be able to adapt, and adapt lap by lap almost.
Yes, a very fair point that you're making now. Motohiko Isasaki, who's running P10 at the moment. He's the second of the green cars that you can see here. Running behind Corinna Gosner and Thomas Gosner. Here he comes right now. He is getting closer. He is getting closer. He is, I have to say that many and most of the Ferrari Challenge drivers are terribly enthusiastic about their competition and their participation, but Motohiko Isasaki has got to be one of the most enthusiastic drivers, as Willem van der Vorm has got by Manuela Gosner. So that's a change for P4. Here is a replay of how it happened. Willem van der Vorm then to the outside of Manu Gosner. And yeah, do you know what? Manu is just playing the long game here and being very, very sensible, Nico, and I respect that. In replay, you can see how Willem van der Vorm, it was not made too difficult for him to be able to go through and make that overtake, to take nothing away from him. But Manu is just cautiously keeping that car on the tarmac. And I have to say, I have immense respect for each and every one of the drivers, because it is so difficult out there.
Absolutely, and you would think that Manuela Gosner already, she surrendered 4 seconds almost to Willem van der Worm. I think one of that is just visibility. She's allowed him to get up the road and just have more visibility racing her race, just rather than trying to stick with him and getting back on him. She has 13 seconds to the good behind her, or actually now it is 18 seconds. So she has a big margin behind her, and with 4 minutes, 40 seconds plus 1 lap remaining.
She's going to be untroubled, isn't she?
She's fairly settled in her position, which by our reckoning is going to be enough to seal the championship today.
So even with the loss of another position, that's still going to be enough for Manu to seal the championship. Okay, Kirkmayer leading from Oscar Rinčević, who is P2, Ray Acosta is P3, then it's Willem van der Worm and Manuela Gosner ahead of Fabrizio Fontana, Thibaut Valent, Thomas, get it out, Dave, Thomas Gosner, Corinna Gosner, Motohiko Isasaki, and Michael Martin. That's the way it looks then for our Coppa Shell race. With regret, we lost Fons Skeldermar and John Dillon early on, and James Wyland regrettably didn't start the race, so great shame there. James Wyland, who of course is coached by another good driver, Conrad Grunewald. Most of the drivers in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell have driver coaches that support and assist them. And here is Corinna Gosner then, still languishing behind her father Thomas, and behind them both is Motohiko Isasaki. 3.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining in this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. And there, as you zoom in, you can see on the pit wall is always a hive of activity. You've got engineers on there, you've got team bosses on there, you've got driver coaches on there, all of which, and they're oftentimes jostling for space on the pit perch, almost as they're jostling for space out there on the track, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially the Gosner family. When David Gosner is racing, you also got 3 family members who are also there, and yeah, I mean, it's just a great paddock and great camaraderie within the teams, but between them as well. So Jens Kirchmann is still leading, 5 seconds almost, untroubled at the front. Did hard work in qualifying, as we heard from him, and hasn't put a wheel wrong ever since.
No, and he was pretty proud of what he was able to achieve in qualifying, and rightly so, and he should be pretty proud of how he has performed during the course of this race. 4.9 seconds to the good over Oscar Rinčević, who in turn is just under 4 seconds ahead of Ray Acosta, who's running P3. You've not seen so much of those drivers, and the reason for that is they're kind of out on their own, and we're trying to pick the best pictures that we can for you here, and the battles that we can pick for you here. And the Gosner double battle ahead of Motohiko Isasaki is one of those that is continuing to go on here in this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Race 1 across the weekend. So the deal is, we have racing today, we have racing tomorrow. Then on Saturday we have qualifying for the World Final races, the Gold Roof races, Finali Mondiali races, as Corinna Gosner now with a bold move on her father to the inside. Now Thomas may be able to get a slingshot here and be faster out of this turn than Corinna, but Corinna, fair play. I think she's done it here. Or has she? Here comes Thomas to fight back. Motohiko Isasaki is trying to buy into this party as well. Through the speed cam they go, and heading towards turn number 1 right now. So Motohiko Isasaki, is he going to be able to be king of the late breakers into turn 1? No, he's not. That's a great shot. Corinna runs a bit wide, but actually they all keep it on the tarmac there. And, well, fair play to Corinna Gosner. She spotted that opportunity and delivered on that opportunity, and now finds herself up into that P8 place.
Yeah, great shot there, and I mean, it is still remarkable how under these conditions the drivers keep it on the tarmac and keep the grip level. It is really, really remarkable. Great racecraft and great discipline from all our drivers here. You can see that on the racing line there is a little bit of a dryish line developing, and we can also see the drivers trying to avoid that at parts, as you explained. As we take another look at that overtake, all Gosner, and you know, camaraderie, fair play, family bonds. Thomas didn't make it all that easy. He tried to fight back.
Yes, we rerun the fun as Carina went through on Father Thomas, and Ernst Kirkmeyer then, well, he's just crossed the timing line with 10 seconds or so remaining, which means it's the remainder of this lap plus one more of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race to come before we see the checkered flag. So Ernst Kirkmeyer he's really maintained this 4.7, 4.8 margin between himself and Oskar Rinčević, and he will try and continue to do that over the remainder of this lap, plus one more that he will have to do before the end of this race. So Kirkmeyer from Rinčević, from Acosta, from Van der Vorm, from Gostner, Fontana, Valint. They are the top 7 drivers in this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. And as I say, with our calculations, we believe that Manuel Gostner will have done enough to seal the championship. Here's our P2 driver for Kessel Racing, Oskar Rinčević, who's been such a wonderful addition to the Ferrari Challenge this year. I first met Oskar when he raced in the Ferrari Challenge in the UK as well. And super individual, really committed and keen on his racing, and has done a fantastic job. And for him to be where he is in the Drivers' Championship points, as I mentioned, having missed the entirety of the Bunau round at the beginning of June, I think is commendable to his racecraft and what he's been able to achieve in his first season of the Ferrari Challenge. So Ernst Kirkmeyer from this man, Oskar Rinčević. Then it is Ray Acosta now. Ray Acosta from the collection in Miami, and Ray is racing both in the European Series and also in the North American Series. And that's something that's wonderful about the Ferrari Challenges. It spreads itself around the world, that the driver interchange between regions is very much encouraged. And well, we're delighted this weekend to announce the start of the all-new Ferrari Challenge in the Middle East, which will start next year. So adding that to our Australia, to our Japan, to our UK, to our Europe, and to our North American series of the Ferrari Challenge just gets bigger and better every single year.
Yeah, can't wait. And it's a great addition, and just underscores how global the emotion of the Ferrari Challenge truly is. Final lap here, Ernst Kirchmeier, Oskar Rinčević. Oskar actually just put in the fastest lap of the race, which will give him 1 point. Don't think it changes the outlook for tomorrow and the championship chase, but you know, it's not over until it's over. So, especially under these conditions, Ernst Kirchmeier has to keep it together for another almost full lap.
Yes, and the Mugello Circuit continues to test on every single lap, and the thing is, what should be borne in mind here is the track is evolving on every single lap as well. So where the drivers had a certain amount of grip available to them on previous lap, that may not be the case on the next lap, or they may find that they're able to push a bit harder. So, as I say, the track is continually evolving, so it's been a something of a exercise for the drivers always to push to the limits that they possibly can, but also keep it well within the white lines, which has been critical. And Ernst Kirchmeier, it's been another textbook drive from him, and I tend to agree with you in that some of the lines now around this track are beginning to look a little bit less damp. I'm not going to say drier, but Oskar Rinčević certainly getting much closer to Ernst Kirchmeier. I don't think close enough to be able to put a challenge or a charge on for P1. I think Kirchmeier has got enough of a margin here, with but a few corners to do. In fact, a chicane and one more turn. But look how Oskar Rinčević is getting closer now. But I think it's all come a little bit too late. Down to just 3 seconds between P1 and P2. But through the chicane comes Ernst Kirchmeier with just one more turn to do, and he will feel that he has done enough. And the driver of the Ernst Kirchmeier Kessel Racing car, well, will add to his tally of a previous win in Bunau as he heads towards the checkered flag. Well done to Ernst Kirchmeier. He takes P1. Oskar Rinčević has chased him for P2. And then it is going to be Ray Acosta, who's quite some way down the road. As you can see, he's rounding the final turn here. But Ray Acosta, a regular podium placer, both here in Europe and also in North America too. And he's being chased by Willem van der Vorm. But It'll be Ray Acosta that takes P3. Willem van der Vorm will take P4. So all the cars are spread out pretty remarkably. But for Manuela Gosner, P5 is certainly going to be enough for Manuela Gosner to become the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell champion for 2025. Well done, Manuela. Then it's Fabrizio Fontana, then it will be Tibor Valin, then the Gosner family continue with Corinna and Thomas. So there you can see now, new husband, Giorgio Sonagiotto, has seen his wife become the Coppa Shell champion for Ferrari Challenge in 2025. Well done to Manuela. There, confirmation on the screen. She is the 2025 Coppa Shell champion, and let's celebrate everything that she has achieved this year. It's not something that is not unheard of. The winner is Manuela Gosner. We've said it enough times, but now we can say it for a championship as well. And to take nothing away from Ernst Kirchmayr taking the race win, for Manuela Gosner to take the championship, richly deserved, Nico.
Oh, 100%, and she really fought for it. But I mean, for today and for now, Ernst Kirchmayr, he is a race winner, and he gets proper credit for that. You know, I think he's pretty much as happy as he was after qualifying. So well done by Ernst Kirchmayr. Valiant effort by Oscar Vincevic, Ray Acosta as well on the podium. I mean, top down, really good performance in these difficult conditions. And you know, those drivers who have not finished P1 in the championship for Europe for the season, they will take a lot of confidence for the race on Sunday to feel like they're in a good position to do something about that. Looking at the tires, and you know, it's held it together, but probably I think that gesture might mean good thing we didn't have another 5 minutes of this race. It could have been a different story. It's just a great camaraderie, just a great championship, everybody contributing to it. Manuela Gosner is a champion for 2025, and well done.
As you say, though, let's take nothing away from our race winner, Ernst Kirchmayr. And it's those drivers that you'll be seeing on the podium. Manuela will be presented with a championship trophy at a glittering awards dinner on Saturday evening. Right, here is the classification, then confirmed. Ernst Kirchmayr taking the win from Oscar Vincevic, and it was Ray Acosta P3. Willem van der Vorm P4, then it was Manuela Gosner and Fabrizio Fontana ahead of Tibor Valent and Corinna Gosner. They rounded out the top 8 of our Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell, first race of our Finali Mondiali weekend. Ahead of Thomas Gosner, Motohiko Isasaki, and not classified for Michael Martin, von Skelterma, John Dillon and James Wyland didn't make the start of the race, regrettably so. That's the way it looks then, as I say. 30 minutes plus 1 lap of racing from our Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell drivers in very difficult conditions indeed. Credit to all of them for being able to keep it on the black stuff by and large. No mean feat, I have to say. Okay, so there you can see the Kessel car of Ernst Kirchmayr with the 106 number. And Ernst Kirchmayr, he is the sort of driver, in my opinion, that you could put him on a sack barrow and potentially he could still win a race. He's got such talent, and he came into motor racing perhaps later in life than he would have liked. He would be very happy to admit that to you, but what a racing driver he has turned up and turned out to be. And great guy as well. And we're going to hear from him now because he's on the podium, or sorry, on the presentation area.
Ernst, congratulations. You are the first winner of this big event in the track of Tuscany. I want to discover with you and resume your race and your feeling.
My feeling is unbelievable because it was so difficult, because raining and slippery, and the condition was really very, very strong. And so I'm very happy I could win the race. For me, it will be forever a memory, of course. And hopefully it's the first win for this weekend, but hopefully not the last win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Ernst. Great to hear from you. And yes, he, of course, will be hoping to replicate that. Let's take a look at the highlights then of our Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Race 1 in very, very difficult conditions. Then the cars were always going to start behind the Richard Mille safety car. Ernst Kirchmayr from pole position and John Dillon going from P2. For John Dillon, though, the grip afforded around the final turn was never going to be enough. He lost the back end of the car. That meant that he went around. And Ernst Kirchmayr leading the race. John Dillon wouldn't be the only one to go around. Fabrizio Fontana finding the grass as well, and von Skeltermar under pressure from Oscar Rinčević and Tibor Valin. How did he hold this car out of the barriers? Well, he did, and he would continue to race, and he did it with aplomb, getting past Thomas Gosner, and Fabrizio Fontana looking for an opportunity to get by Thomas Gosner as well. And here the opportunity was gifted to him, so those two drivers went through. Whilst all that was going on, Ernst Kirchmayr was building up a wonderful lead at the front of the pack ahead of Oscar Rinčević and Ray Acosta. They were running P2 and P3, and Fabrizio Fontana able to take advantage of the fact that Tibor Valint was on the painted lines. And here's Thomas Gosner and Motohiko Isesaki and Corinna Gosner. All three of them having a fantastic battle for some of the lower places in the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. The two Gosners doing better than Motohiko Isesaki. Now, Manuela Gosner on the left of your picture here. At this point, as Willem van der Vorm went through, she was still going to seal enough points to secure the 2025 Coppa Shell Championship if it stayed that way. And Corinna Gosner, Manuela's sister, was just as determined to have as brilliant a race. And she went through on her father, Thomas Gosner, going through the final turn and heading up towards the start-finish straight as Ernst Kirchmayr took a win. His driver coach, Giacomo Altoe, was happy, but Manuela Gosner, by taking that P5 position, did enough to seal the 2025 Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Championship to the delight of the team. And Giacomo Altoe, Ernst Kirchmayr's driver coach, was pretty happy as well. The dark cloud loomed. So there we have it. We're going to be heading up to the podium next. So Michele Mambelli, you can see him there on the right-hand side of the podium. He's in charge of podium celebrations here, and here comes Ray Acosta to take P3. Here comes Oscar Rinčević then to take P2. And on the top step of the podium, Ernst Kirchmayr. Kessel Racing, of course, will be represented. They are the Coppa team winner of that race. And here comes the anthem.
Il nostro applauso per I vincitori con I trofei d'onore che sono presentati dal nostro Ferrari.
FAA is making the trophy presentations, of course. Ferrari factory driver, Le Mans race winner. He makes the trophy presentation, first of all, to Ray Acosta. Oscar Rinčević in receipt of his trophy. Ife then. I was having a chat with him earlier on today. He'll be joining us on the air as well, and he's always a very welcome guest and addition on the air. I first met Ife when he was a sim racing driver, and now he's a Le Mans race winner.
Look at him.
Fantastic success story, Nico.
Absolutely. Look at Ferrari, identifying talent and supporting it with perfect machinery.
Yes. As opposed to broadcasters. So, great photographs being taken then by the focus of the media, of course. And now it is going to be time for the celebrations. Who's going to be the first? It's going to be Kirchmayr, surely. Surely. No, it's not. It's Oscar Rinčević by a country mile, I have to say. Here are the cars then that took their drivers to those podium positions for the collection. Ray Acosta takes P3. Driver of the Kessel Racing 121 car, Oscar Rinčević. Double bubble for Kessel Racing, of course, taking P2 and P1 because this car and this driver combination earns Kirchmayr sealing the deal and taking the race win in Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. We're going to take a look at the Drivers' Championship points. And hello to everyone in the outside broadcast suite, if you like, in the TV compound. Great people in there. And, well, there you can see the cloud looming. Here is the Drivers' Championship, as I promised then. Manuel Agostina cannot be caught now. And Oscar Rinčević has actually moved up into second in the Drivers' Championship ahead of John Dillon. Then it's Cristiano Marchel. Ernst Kirchmayr, P5, moves up 2 places. And then the rest of the order that you can see there. But the critical thing is Manuel Agostina did enough in that race to seal the 2025 Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Drivers' Championship. All our European championships then over the course of this weekend, bar one, will be decided this weekend. So there we have it from us here. Thank you so much for watching the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. Lots more racing to come. Bye-bye for now.